associations may be disorganized, and time and space relationships are lost.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the Hippie Speedball Podcast. It is Joe, your host with the most, Joe. And today I'm actually doing my first long-distance episode. And today in the house, over in the Zoom room, I got here Keith Allen, who's actually the founder of the Budtender Awards. You've heard me talk about them millions and millions of times on the podcast. And I've been waiting to be able to chat with this guy for a long time. He's also the CEO of G4 Live. So please give it up for Keith Allen. Keith Allen, thanks for popping into the Zoom room. I appreciate it, bud. Cue studio audience in the background. How's your day been going, man?
It's been going great, man. I cannot complain. I feel like the weather's starting to turn over here in SoCal, and one of my partners is in Canada, and he had some negative 30s and negative 40s, and he's like, "It's gonna be warm today at 50 degrees, eh?"
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
like I'm already like in the 80s here. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. It's just starting to actually turn around over up here in Oregon, because we've been having like really cold weather and stuff like that. But lately it's been like warm enough that I only need like, like a hoodie or just like, a t-shirt itself. So it's a little bit different for us, like, to start changing, but it's nice. That looks beautiful where you're at, man. I'm a little jealous right now. That looks awesome. All right, so just for the audience, go ahead and let people know who you are and what exactly is the Budtender Awards, and just kind of give them a little intro about yourself, man.
Sure. Well, thanks first of all for having me on the show. I'm really genuinely grateful. I love to talk about what we're doing. It's a passion project for sure.
I appreciate everything you're doing. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, we're having a great time doing it. My name is Keith Allen. I'm the CEO and founder of the Budtender Awards and the G4 Live event. And primarily the CEO of the company that owns all of that, which is called Round Meadow Holdings, which doesn't really matter for this conversation.
Awesome. Well, yeah, dude. And I've been wanting to, chat with you guys for a long time, because I had one of your finalists on the show a while back. And ever since I heard about you guys, I was like, oh my God, I got to know more about these. Like, yeah. I mean, the fact that, you're paying homage to budtenders and you're giving all that love to the faces of the industry. And for me, like, I'm a big dispo person. So, I mean, recreational has been going on for a while here in Oregon. So I've done my time for all around the city in all sorts of different dispensaries. And I know that budtenders are definitely an unsung hero in the cannabis industry. And I'm really, really thankful that you're like actually, showing them some love and everything. So what was it about budtenders that you wanted to just say, you know what, I'm going to show you guys a little bit more love and give this award ceremony?
Well, look, totally keeping it real. I don't have pre-canned answers for any interview I ever do, just so you know.
Awesome.
I'll tell you what, like for me, it was kind of a throwback to this feeling, that not to get too philosophical, but that Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. And it's like, it threw me back to a time when I was younger, not that I'm old, but when I was younger, and like, I knew how hard I was working and how passionate I was about something, but it was not really an industry that was recognized as anything credible by the upper echelons of the world, if you will, and the societal sort of hierarchy, right? And I started to notice it with budtenders. It was one of two things. It's either like, yeah, they're sales clerks that sell weed, or they're like, we want the budtenders to sell our product. So what do we got to do to get them to sell our product? And like, they're just two-faced kind of BS where it was like, we're really cool with you when we see you face to face, but otherwise we're using you as sort of soldiers to move our products. Right. And I took issue with that, and we helped take one company public in the cannabis space. And during that time, when we were doing the investigation and the research for the marketing, because we also own a marketing agency internally, I recognized that desire from the brands to be with the budtenders, but more importantly, I recognized that the budtenders, and understanding their stories, there was a great deal of budtenders that we had come in contact with that were highly educated, that were making very serious recommendations about a mind-altering substance. It is most definitely a drug. No matter how you want to classify it, it's a drug. Changes your mind. It changes your mood. It can make people paranoid and freaked out if they have too much of the wrong thing.
Yeah, but so definitely by definition, it's a drug for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it is what it is. But it's like, if you've got people that make recommendations, they're not telling you what socks are comfortable for running. They're telling you what shit you should be taking or smoking or injecting or putting under your tongue to make you feel good and to have the results you're looking for. So, again, on the philosophy quote, It's like people listen to hear or they listen to reply. And I felt that these really good bud tenders who were listening to hear deserve more credit.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it all stemmed from.
That is awesome. That is awesome, man. That's beautiful that you say that, because I mean, it's definitely one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that there's that kind of like, that kind of like that little difference between different, between different styles of bud tenders. There's the ones that are passionate about it and that want to make the recommendation based on what's actually, like beneficial for the person. And then there's also the ones that are kind of like, all right, yeah, you sell weed and you like to smoke and stuff like that. And the fact that you were able to recognize that difference really means the world to everybody in the cannabis industry, because it's like one of those things that a lot of people don't realize. You said this on the High Budtenders podcast. Shout out to them, because that was a great interview that you had. And you were saying that, you're basically almost acting as kind of like a pharmacist. You're making a recommendation based on an ailment that person has, whether it be depression, anxiety, stomach issues. And if you're not passionate and not educated, I mean, you could really recommend the wrong thing. And that could be someone's first time using cannabis, and you just turn them off for life, Yeah,
and it's hurting the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's hurting the industry, and it makes it so like, oh my God, I'm never going to go in one of those pot shops again. They recommended this and I got all paranoid, and it can completely ruin the entire experience. And the ones that are passionate are the ones that are really going to move forward. And you were able just to take a spotlight and just put it on that. And, for everybody that's on the front lines in the industry, and that has been, it really just means the world to everybody, man. So kudos to you for being able to spot the difference on that. And then just saying, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and roll with this. That's awesome.
Well, everybody loves to throw a party too, so we were like, "Hey, let's make a party out of this."
Right, exactly. Yeah, you have the right idea, because you're like, "Yeah, let's make a party out of this. Let's go ahead and show a little love," and then that way they got something that they can show for it and say, "Hey, I just got awarded. I'm going to be going to Vegas and all this other kind of stuff." I mean, and it's really awesome. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't even hear about it until recently, and I've just become like basically obsessed with it. I already got my tickets. I got my VIP passes. I'm going to be there. Nice. Yeah, and so I'm super pumped. Yeah, I'll be staying down right there on the strip, and it's going to be a blast. And so describe your perfect bud tender for all the people that are listening and want to make an impression on you.
I think the perfect bud tender is somebody who makes their guest or patient feel comfortable at the very onset with a warm smile, a handshake, or whatever it is about your personality that is welcoming and brings someone in. Because that first contact is so key and so important in any situation, whether it's working as a bud tender or anything you do in life, right? So just making someone feel comfortable, because you have to kind of tap into the idea that someone is walking into a place where maybe they're not comfortable, or maybe they feel like they're not the cool kid in class, and it's just an uncomfortable feeling, and you just want to eliminate that as quickly as possible, so now they can be open with you. And the more open somebody is, the more you're able to hear what it is they need, and to make a couple of recommendations to people rather than just one that's brand specific, right? Let's say I'm looking for a good flower. Okay, well, do you like sativa or do you like indica? Well, tell me what the difference is. Understanding those differences between the hybrids, understanding the terpenes, the myrcene, the limonene, the things that really are mood elevators, the things that are going to address these issues, understanding the chemistry, but also understanding the emotional connection. It's that old saying, people don't remember what you tell them. They remember how you made them feel. And in no circumstances is it ever more important than this one, to remember how they made you feel. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And to say, hey, make sure you come back and see me. Let me know how it goes. And I'm looking forward to seeing when you come back.
That is awesome, man. That was so well put, man. That was beautiful, because a lot of people need to understand also that entourage effect. It's not all about THC. Like the fact that you mentioned terpenes, and also like you need to know the CBD. It's like, what's your tolerance level? There's so many different like factors that go into it, and like you said, you have to be able to make that physical and emotional connection based on what it is that this patient or this person needs. And it's such like a, I don't know, it's such like a dangerous thing when someone's not educated, because like we were saying earlier, it can really, really mess things up for the industry, for the person, for the bud tender, for that shop. Like it can really just go downhill, and, that's just really well put. You just hit it on the nose, man.
Yeah. There's a bud tender who, I want to recognize, I think actually, if you listen to High Budtender, it's Rocky. It's like, if you go out to places where, you're like at Planet 13 or Atrium here in Los Angeles, where I am, or any of these great dispensaries where they really focus on that customer experience, it's like part of that is not just telling people like, be up and be happy. I've been behind the scenes. They have these great classrooms behind the scenes where they do like these pre-shift debriefs on like what the specials are, what's going on, and what new products are on the floor, and talking about the terps or, whatever whatever it is they're going to talk about. And I had a bud tender that I walked into once, and she had it perfect. She goes, okay, this is where we get to be completely honest with each other. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you know what you want? And I was like, what a great freaking question that is.
A great question.
Because it's like, okay, let's say I'm going to, I'm feeling adventurous and I kind of know what I want, but I'm not so sure. I'm going to say a 6 or a 7. Okay, great. So you've had experience with this before. Now she knows what to recommend. And because not only in that number do I give that bud tender the idea of my comfortability in the store and what it is I'm looking for, but also my tolerance levels, right? Because if I'm telling you I'm an 8 or a 10, well, okay, great. Let me show you some stuff over here that's got some more THC and it's got a better blend of whatever. That's the kind of the whole idea, is to be able to gauge who it is you're talking to and understand what their needs are.
Yeah, exactly. And catering that conversation is so important, really, in any aspect of sales, but especially when it comes to cannabis, because you're not just selling, you're making recommendations, and also knowing, like what different strains do based on the genetics of that, whatever that strain is. Like, that's why you could have two people smoke the same hybrid. One person gets antsy, the other person gets tired, because there's something in their cannabinoid system that actually latched on to some sort of strain that was down the lineage of that plant. And knowing the difference, like a friend of mine, he found out that he was really into a certain sativa. So we did a little genetics research and found out that skunk number 1 was actually the prime, parent in most of this, like in both actual crosses. So we're like, okay, let's get you some skunk number 1. Boom. We got him some skunk number 1, and like, it's his favorite strain. It's all he wants now.
And then when they find out, then they just know what they like, and now they have some base to go from, right? Most people do in most cases, right? But I mean, I think that with the commercialization of cannabis and the growing industry that we have in front of us, it's like there's so many consumers out there that have maybe had smoked or had consumed when they were younger or in college and maybe here and there at a party. But a lot of these people are not used to the dispensary model yet, even though we think they are because we're so familiar with it. There's a lot of people who aren't, and they're being re-educated, if that makes sense. I mean, think about it. Like 15, 20 years ago, it's like you didn't have the testing, you didn't have all of these things that we have now. It's like you just bought weed.
Yeah, exactly. I always say, like, you never had jars on the wall. It was whatever Tony had that weekend, It was whatever. It was just whatever your guy had.
Yeah.
And it's constantly evolving, like you said, and that's cool that they do debriefings and stuff like that based on everything, because I mean, you could have things change like overnight, and that's actually a perfect little segue, because I was going to ask you about how are the cannabis laws down there in Nevada?
Well, so, I'm in California, but I'm in Nevada quite often because we do so much business out in Vegas. It's interesting in Vegas because if you look at the laws, it's rec, but you have to purchase and then consume at your place of residence.
That's how it is over here too.
Technically speaking, the hotel does not confirm your residence. So a lot of the properties are like, if you go to I don't know if I should say hotel names on this, but if you go to one of the more prestigious properties at the end of the strip that starts with the letter W, they are so hardcore about no cannabis that if they even see a bag that looks like it came from a dispensary, they will confiscate it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
I was there a month and a half ago, and I went through there's one entrance where you don't get this, but all the other entrances, they had a strip search, like TSA. They wanted you, checked your bags. They had a little table for you to open your bag and check. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty crazy. But, you got 75% of your cabs driving around Vegas with Planet 13 Superstore on it.
Yeah, right.
Or Cultivate or New Leaf or any one of the big dispensaries.
Yeah, and then pretty much every single time I get in an Uber after I, step off the plane and, get in the airport, I get in an Uber and they're like, hey, do you want to go to a dispensary? That's the very first thing they always ask me if I want to go to the weed shop.
Right. I was just going to say really quick, what's interesting is that you're heading into a time of year now where Vegas is coming back online, and you're going to have a lot of tours, and people come from all over the country, and it's like all over the world rather. And that's the first thing they want to do is hit, where's the dispensary?
Yeah. They want to smoke that legal weed. That's how it is. Exactly. When I was working in my first dispensary job, I mean, I used to see people from out of state all the time that just came here for the weed. And they were just saying, they were like, oh, no, I'm just here for the weed, man. And so people would travel just for that. I mean, Vegas, it really needs the boom though, because I mean, as we all know, I'm sure 2020 really took a giant toll on the freaking tourism. And, I'm sure Vegas really got hit hard. So do you think cannabis could be a potential for that, being the thing that actually brings it back?
Oh God, that's such a catch-22 question. Is chicken and egg is what it is because of those laws with the properties and the hotels, and part of the reason why it is that way is because the gaming commissioner, these are federally gamed properties on the Strip that that have to follow these federal regulations. So it makes it tough. But I think that when you have the tourism coming back, it's a combination of the tourism. Putting some the phrase that they use in the hotel business out there, because we do so much with our event, is heads and beds. So they get more heads and beds. They have algorithms that create this calculation for what they're going to average out per person that has a head and bed from the stores, the restaurants, and the tables, right? And then when it comes to the dispensaries, they're counting on people showing up to buy some cannabis and enjoy their weekend. I think that the middle ground between all of this is the pools, the party pools. Because the party pools, people are walking in with vapes. I don't think anybody's lighting up joints at the pools, but they're definitely got their vapes. And you see people hitting it like this in the pool. It's like, that's the middle ground for all of it, right? But I do think that it is going to have a dramatic surge. There's a phrase around town with the locals in Vegas, which is the roaring 20s. And because they're talking about the 20s in Vegas when it just was like this boom. And it's like, we're going to see that boom coming back to Vegas here for this summer. In fact, because of our event, we paid really close attention to travel bookings, and we've seen almost double travel bookings for Vegas for this spring and summer than a normal year. So hotels are selling out, rates are going through the roof. It's really on. It's game on.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was booking my hotel. I was like, Jesus, like it was like, and it was
our link.
What's that?
Please tell me you booked through our link.
No, I didn't actually. I didn't. I probably should have. Should I cancel and then book through the link instead? Okay.
Absolutely. Because our rates are like, I think our average rate for a room is like $95, where like the rack rate is like 200 or something. I don't know what you were paying for a room, but it's like $95 a night through our link.
I think cause I'm going to be there the day before and the day after the event. So I'm going to be there for a little bit, like just like a couple little extra longer. I think I ended up paying like $114 a night or something like that. So it wasn't terrible. Oh. And it was at one of the ones on the Strip too, but maybe I should actually look into that because I didn't even
Mandalay for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like because I've never stayed at the Mandalay Bay. I've actually never stayed on the main Strip. Every single time I've gone to Vegas, I've stayed on Fremont. So this is actually gonna be my first time staying on the main Strip.
Yeah. Well, for anybody who's listening and for yourself, we have a link, and we only have a limited amount of rooms in our room block. And I know that this is not a sales BS thing to say. I'm telling you the truth. They're going really quick. We're selling a lot of tickets now. We have a lot of great, amazing sponsors and booths and vendors, and we like to call them resource partners because we see it as a resource in the industry. So we have a lot of resource partners that are signed up to have exhibit space. It's going pretty quick, especially because we announced our party on the 21st at the pool.
Oh yeah, that was awesome because when I saw the announcement, because I was wondering what you guys are going to do for music and stuff like that this year, and I saw that announcement, I was like, that is crazy. Because I mean, I already had been planned on going anyway, and that was just a nice little added bonus because I was like, that's going to be awesome. And the fact that I got this interview going with you, I mean, I'm glad to kind of have a little bit more knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes and kind of everything that's going on. And thank you so much again for doing this. I know you're really, really busy this time, so taking the time really means the world to me.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be joining you on this. Listen, like I said at the beginning of this interview, I really love to talk about what we're doing. It's really exciting, and not to leave people hanging on that for the music for that Friday night. We have one announcement right now, which is Travis Barker, and people are like, Travis Barker doing a DJ set, and it's like, if you've never heard him DJ, you got to come see this. It's incredible. He's probably one of the better DJs out there.
No, seriously.
Yeah. He's insane.
Yeah. And I was trying to tell people that. I'm like, have you not listened to like some of the transplants, like more hip hop stuff? I was like, who do you think was the one doing the samples and all that kind of stuff? It was their rhythm section, AKA Travis Barker, And so I tell people a lot about that. And that was actually like a really good transition because before we start talking a little bit about music, there's one thing I like to get from all of my guests. And now that you're a guest on the Hippie Speedball, tell me about the first time you ever smoked, man.
Wow. I don't know how I'm going to tell you the honest story. There's nothing fabricated about this. It was my 13th birthday, and I have a sister who's 7 years older than me and a brother who's 5 years older than me. And I kind of like the night had settled down and I was in my room and playing with my gifts, whatever. And I heard them in the next room and they were laughing their asses off. I'm like, what is going on over there? So I knock on the door and they go, what? And I go, can I come in? And they're like, okay. They're a little mischievous. Okay. Go in the room and it's just hot boxed with the window open and they're trying to get the smoke. That's what they were laughing at. They're trying to get the smoke out of the room. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like I knew what the smell was. And then they go, well, sit down, Keith. Have you ever tried this before? And I go, no. And then they go, well, you should do it amongst family members and people in a safe environment. So I took a little hit and didn't really feel anything. I took another one, didn't really feel anything. And then a couple, like 15 minutes went by and I was like, whoa, I'm in love.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you just been smoking ever since?
Yeah. I mean, I've had breaks here and there, like everybody does from time to time, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, and the hardest part for me was I smoked cigarettes for 20 years and I quit 14 years ago.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah. And I started smoking really young too. When I was like a young teenager. So it was hard for me when I was quitting smoking cigarettes to it was confusing to me to smoke cannabis and then not have a cigarette, because once you get that buzz on, you're like, give me a smoke. So
right.
I took a break for a little while there. Yeah. Almost a year.
Oh, wow, man. Yeah. I've taken little breaks here and there. That's a great first time story, man. That was awesome. I love that. Like the fact that it was your 13th birthday and you had it like heard it from the room next door. Like I hear all sorts of different times that I've never heard one like that. So that was awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. And all the listeners really love that little part too. And so what was it about Travis Barker that made you like, why did you pick Travis Barker?
Well, Travis is, I want to call him a friend. I've known Travis for many, many years through just a variety of, like, my best friend was Rick DeVoe, or is Rick DeVoe, is one of my best friends in the world since I was like 14. Rick was the manager of Blink-182 for 25 years. I was the first one to ever play Blink on the radio. My first gig out of college was working at a radio station, and I was a radio producer, and I worked on a show called the Ricky Rackman Radio Show in Los Angeles. We were on the Howard
love
station.
Ricky Rackman from Headbangers Ball. Yeah, I love Ricky Rackman.
So he was so I'll make this quick. He was a host of Loveline originally, after Poor Man had left Loveline, and we're talking like early 90s, okay. And it was him, Adam Carolla, and they'd have special guests. And I wrote a book when I was in college. I was a bartender, and I wrote a book called 101 of the World's Most Effective Pickup Lines. And it was a joke book because I heard so many funny pickup lines when I was bartending. I'm like, I got to write these down. And I added chapters like tips on the ultimate date, rejection comebacks, how to make a paper rose out of a bar napkin. And I sold 100,000 copies of this book.
Whoa.
But sold over 100,000. From my dorm room, and I did this because I went down to Loveline one night and I acted like a delivery guy with a package for Ricky Rackman, my hat on backwards, and t-shirt, and he's like, "What is this?" And he signed for it, and he opened it up right there, and he looked at it, and he started laughing, and he goes, "Who's it from?" And he's looking on the package, and I go, "Well, now that I know you like it, I wrote it." Next Tuesday night, because they had a cancellation, I was a guest on Loveline. I was a guest on Loveline 3 times. He and I became buddies. Make a long story much shorter, I ended up going and working with him on the radio show. So working on that radio show, I just had so much experience working around just kind of all of these different elements. And I forgot what the original question was, but I told you that part of the story.
That is awesome, man. So you had a really awesome background in music. I'm actually a musician too. Like you can
Travis,
see
it. Travis.
Yeah, down in the corner right there. I have my guitars and everything. I got a piano over there. I got the amplifier. So music is a big thing. I mean, I'm actually wearing a Ramones t-shirt right now. So that's awesome. And so do you think that music can end up being that bridge that people need to kind of bring everybody like in the cannabis like industry, like, the cannabis community kind of like together? Do you think that like music would be the thing to do?
So last year when we did this, we had Cypress Hill perform, right? And Cypress Hill got a Lifetime Achievement Award from us. And I don't know how seriously they took it or didn't take it. It was a paid gig. But when they showed up, I think that you could tell quickly that they saw this was something special. Anybody who was in that room, anybody who was at the Budtender Awards will tell you that it was an experience unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. It was like the Grammys, the Academy Awards. We had we rented out Light Nightclub, in Vegas. And, we spent a lot of money on this event, and we had this massive nightclub with these big video monitor walls. We actually had someone who helped produce the Academy Awards, put together run a show with all the graphics and the announcements and who the nominees were. We had teleprompters. Everybody wore dresses and dressed up. It was this really cool thing to be at. Right. And somebody said after that with Cypress Hill performing, they go, "You know what? This is like South by Southwest for cannabis, like the beginnings of it." And I go, "Brilliant." I'm friends with a lot of people in the media industry because after I left that radio show, went on to become a TV producer, and I worked in artist management for years, and I had a lot of entertainment experience. And so a lot of my friends that I work with had come from South by or MTV, like where I worked. After I left that radio show, I worked at MTV and CBS and Viacom. And it became obvious to me that we needed to take this and make it a South by Southwest for cannabis. So we're including for May, we've got like an investor summit. We've got film screenings, artistic submissions. We've got brand certification programs. We have incredible keynote speakers. Like one of my keynotes is this guy, David Tyerman, who helped create the polo brand for Ralph Lauren. He's worked with Nike, Under Armour. Like it doesn't even have anything to do with cannabis, but it's about building a great brand. Mm-hmm. So I created this melting pot environment where it's just not all about flower and cannabis. And it's not, listen, I love Hall of Flowers. It's not a Hall of Flowers. It's not a MJ BizCon. It's just, we have our own brand, and our own brand is meant to be on one property with education, information. You can get lost at our event. We just to give you a number, we spent $350,000 just on food and beverage. You don't get box salads at our event. We serve breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, open bars, Gatorades, Red Bulls. It's comped. It's all free when you come to the event. It's a part of the ticket to get in. There's lounge areas just to chill and hang with people and get lost at our event. Our trade show floor is not row after row after row. The rows are scattered in all different angles, and they kind of all lead to the middle, the hub, this whole center of the universe, the G4 Live experience, right? So it's like, once we started creating that stuff, we knew that there was something much more to this event than just being an expo or a trade show or a consumption party, right? And speaking of that, we don't have any consumption parties at MGM. We do have a party off property on Saturday night, the 22nd, at a prop house facility that's 60,000 square feet that is going to be mind-blowingly cool because of all the activations we do. But that's an outdoor party. Need I say more? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, last year we did it at Mike Tyson's house. And that was incredible. We had, Koala Puff sitting there with the Mike Tyson, water pipe smoking out of it and streaming live. It was just incredible. It was this insane environment.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So our goal was just to create this platform where it's just this kind of like this fun park for people to just get lost in and just do it all.
That is awesome, man. Your go big or go home mentality, dude, is so inspiring. Like it is so inspiring how you're just like, let's go ahead and just do this. Let's do this, and then you made it happen. And that is the kind of attitude that I love. I love whenever like people just have that go big or go home thing, especially for showing the love for someone you had something you had so much passion for. Yeah, like that is freaking awesome. And so I mean, what was your so you have like obviously a big passion for music and everything, so what's on your playlist right now, man? What are you listening to?
I found something called Fit Radio, and if anybody knows what that is, I'm going to tell you what, you got to check this out. Okay, here's that. Here, can you see that little icon right there? It says Fit Radio.
Yes sir. Yeah,
you click on that. This is incredible. It's just got all these great mixes.
Nice. So
like if you go to these mixes, like you can see like it's just pop. I mean, I'm giving a plug for this app, but you can scroll through like any of these, one way or the other, like, and you can just pick like pop, hip hop, whatever you like. I'm listening to really cool, like underground stuff that's coming up. Like there's this kid Hunter out of Canada that we found, and this is a cool story. It ties back to the event. We did a creativity where we have people submit their art, whether it be a script, a short film, music they're writing, paintings. We just, we still have it going actually. And this kid Hunter from Canada, he just wrote this music basically in his bedroom and set up a microphone in his closet and just recorded these tracks. And every song he sent me was a banger, just a total like knock it out of the park hit. And I'm like, no record label, no support, no agent, no manager, no nothing. And I'm like, we got to celebrate this kid. So he's going to actually be opening up on that Friday night party. We're flying him out from Canada, and we chose him as the guy. So I'm listening to all kinds of different stuff. People send me things. I'm friends with a lot of people in the space, in the music industry. And I get to listen to a lot of really cool stuff, but I mix it up, man. I'm not a one music kind of guy.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I have this Amazon, like I use Amazon Music, and it has like this one thing where it's like my soundtrack, it just goes through all the different songs you play. And it like goes everything from Frank Sinatra to like 90s hip hop to like, old school punk rock to classic rock. I'm kind of all over the spectrum too. And I saw, actually it's so funny because, I saw that you had, and cause I was on your Instagram, and I saw that on one of your videos you had a Goldfinger playing, and that was really awesome because they were just like, they've been on my playlist a lot too, actually. So I saw that, I was like, no way, wow, what a small world. That's awesome.
Yeah. And John Feldman, lead singer of Goldfinger, has actually been one of my best friends, and with our family, and my wife and his wife are best friends, and our kids are best friends, and I've known John for over 20 years. And John is partners with Travis Barker on some stuff, and they've got a production thing they're doing together, and they produce some great bands like the Fever. Fever's one of my favorite bands for just working out and just for some heavy stuff. I surf a lot and I skate a lot. So for me to like listen to just get amped up, that's my jam, is the Fever 333.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, That was a Feldy project.
Yeah, freaking Goldfinger. That song Superman is like a giant, soundtrack of my childhood. I can't think of that and not think of like Tony Hawk when I was a kid. Just rocking around on those skate parks and everything.
Or how about Kingpin the movie? That they had the big
exactly. Hey, that was a great reference, man. Because that's like one of my favorite movies from the '90s. I love Kingpin because also I love bowling. It's just like it's such like a fun thing. I take my daughter bowling all the time. Well, when the bowling alleys were open, but yeah, that was a great reference, man, when they're freaking running out of the car, because every time I hear that, like that like that nice little ska, like fast-paced stuff, it just puts a smile on my face, like that weather behind you, that's perfect for like that good ska, like Sublime, like that sort of style. Like I love that stuff, man.
Listen, if you love that stuff, I can't say who yet, but for the September G4 Live event and Budtender Awards we'll have 20 to 30,000 people at that event this year. And for everybody's wondering, we have all of these amazing COVID protocols, which we don't have to cover here, but I promise you, like, we're working with the properties. We have amazing opportunities. We have a gray pass and a green pass, depending on people just want to answer a questionnaire. If they want to actually get a rapid COVID test on site, if they do, they get the green pass. If they just answer the questions, at least they did a gray pass. Enough about that. But we have the opening night of that event. We also have the pool again. The whole Mandalay Bay wave pool has been shut down for our event on May 21st and for September 29th for the opening night of the September event. And I can't say who. I want to so bad, but we've got a couple of really major bands, one of which you've already mentioned on this interview, who will be performing.
Oh, wow.
Two amazing, very well-known guys, artists, bands. They are bands. And then on closing night, October 2nd, for the Budtender Awards, we took over the AEG Live Mandalay Bay Event Center, which is the concert facility at Mandalay Bay that holds 15,000 people. And we're throwing a massive concert and Budtender Awards ceremony at the event center.
That is awesome, man. That's exciting stuff, dude. I'm really excited to hear more in the future. I mean, because
major urban artists performing at that event, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right. I love your little teasers. That's awesome. You're getting everybody excited. You're getting me excited. That's freaking great. Because they actually they play the Hippie Speedball podcast actually in dispensaries here in Oregon. So you'll be played in a few of the pot shops and stuff like that. They play us on the screen and everything. So
what's up, everybody?
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the weed shop watching this on the screen right now.
Love it.
That is great, man. And I like that you have like kind of like it seems like two genres that you really like to flock towards is like a punk rock and hip hop, if I'm not mistaken, because you kind of like mentioned bands like in that like in that area, because the reason I bring it up is it's fucking awesome, because like a lot of people don't realize the correlation between punk and hip hop and how much they actually go hand in hand, which is something I have to explain about, like with Travis Barker. It's like, of course he likes hip hop, he's a punk. It's like we all freaking love hip hop.
If you look at Travis though, he's so involved with so many different styles, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's such an amazing musician. I have so much respect for that guy.
I'm actually looking on my phone right now for that Fever song, Wrong Generation. It's like, like if you say hip hop and rock, it's like, can you hear this? That's Travis playing drums, by the way.
Hell yeah.
And it goes on. The song is dope.
I love that.
That's my jam, dude. Mix it up.
That sounds like that would be my jam and just get you pumped up, like I'm all about that sort of stuff, man. That is fucking awesome. Thanks a lot for sharing that. That
song's called Wrong Generation by the Fever 333.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm definitely going to check that out, because I'm going to write that down, because I'm all about new music, because anytime I can discover a new band, a new artist or anything like that, I'll just like geek out on them. I'll try to find their whole discography wherever I can and just burn myself out on them. I love that.
You're going to love those guys, dude. They're so good, and it's so legit and passionate. And I know Jason, the lead singer, and it's like he straight up grew up in South Central, and like just all of it's almost like a modern day Rage Against the Machine, but it's not fabricated. Like that's real. Like when you listen to that band, those guys are not faking it.
Yeah, definitely. Like that exactly. Rage Against the Machine. That's the sort of vibe I was kind of picking up. And like, know, and these days, I don't know, like some angsty good music is definitely going to be needed, because we need some grit out there, like
well, more than ever, we're passionate about things, right? I mean, God, look at the last few years, even politically, not to talk about that, but it's like, if you look at, everybody's very passionate right now these days about what they're doing in life. And it's like, it's kind of a cool thing, because that music matches the passion of our energies when we're doing things. And listen, quite honestly, I love to use that Calm app at the end of the day just to chill. My routine is I get up in the morning and have some breakfast, and I have a gym at my house. I'll go stretch out, roll out, and just like be zened out. And then I'll put that music on, just hit the hard and get in the gym.
That is awesome, man. Like, yeah, the great workout music right there. Like that sort of like hyped up music. One of my favorite albums to work out to is actually just Straight Outta Compton. Just listen to the whole album. Like I'll usually listen to that during my whole workout, and I'll start my cardio just with that first track, Straight Outta Compton. Like it just gets me going. That or some like good like a Rob Zombie, some like Rob Zombie or White Zombie or something. That gets me pumped up, want to get some lift in. That's awesome. Yeah, you seem like a pretty healthy guy. So I mean, is like a fitness a big part of your life?
Big part of my life. Yeah. I kind of subscribe to that philosophy. It's like, as you start to get older, you just got to, slow down that process so you can stay active. I'm a very active person in my life. And, you mentioned earlier, it's like, go broke, right? Go for broke. It's like, go home. It's like the whole thing for me is like everything I do in my life is very passionate and kind of like, I try and get creative on taking things to the next level because I want to put my stamp on something. I don't want to recreate the wheel, but I want it to be my wheel. So like, I'm a part of this adventure group with one of my buddies, Brant Pimvidic, who has this adventure club called Reject Average. And you can check out their website, rejectaverage.com. And, it's not even like a club you can get into just by getting into it. You have to be invited into it. But we go diving with great whites. We go snow biking to ice caves up in Canada on the glaciers. We just do helicopter salmon fishing. We do crazy stuff. And it's like, that's the spice of life, right? Just go out and live your life. Work hard, play hard.
That is awesome, man. I love that. I love that mentality about it, like, and just getting out there because I mean, I started being a little bit more active just over the last several years because a few years ago I dropped a significant amount of weight. I dropped about 70 pounds. And so, thank you. Appreciate that. And, it was definitely a life-changing thing for me. And that was how I had to look at it. I had to completely change my lifestyle, just generally be more active in general. And, and that kind of like going out and getting it mentality is, that's the kind of energy I want to surround myself with, because there's a lot of negative people out there and it's really unfortunate, but I want to, it's good to be around the right kind of people that are going to boost you up and have that same kind of mentality.
Yeah. Listen, man, everybody in the world goes through the same thing, no matter if you're a man, woman, no matter where you live, you hit this point of your life where you get into your routine because you got to have a routine, right? I mean, some degree. And, it becomes like the wheel and people don't work out as much because they're tired and they're trying to keep up with their jobs and all these other things. It's like, but you got this choice. I dropped 50 pounds when I put on my dad belly when we had my first kid.
Congratulations,
like,
man.
All my friends. Well, I mean, yeah. And it was when I did this, about 8 years ago, but it was one of those things where I decided like, screw this, man. I'm going to get up and just get up an hour earlier and go to bed an hour earlier and get a workout in and just, working out, eating clean, being a good friend, being a good father, being a good husband, being good to my, people that I work with in my office. I'm the CEO, but no one calls me that. Like, I'm not the boss. I don't lead with a stick. I inspire my team. My team is like family to me. Anybody who works in our office doesn't just show up for a paycheck. It's a passion for everybody. We're very close. We're like family. And we were really close. And I love that I'm blessed to have that environment, but it didn't just happen by accident. Like, you create your reality, right? And you don't create your reality overnight. No big changes ever happen without small shifts. And that's a philosophy of mine that has really lent me my success, is just making sure that I don't focus on changing the world overnight, but just what small shifts can I make today that will lead to this ultimate outcome I'm looking for.
Yeah. You're just trying to improve your immediate, your like immediate next step. It's like, okay, so how can I just keep going in this direction and just keep going in the right direction? And I wanted to revert back to something you said, wherever you're talking about, like, you're, like not reinventing the wheel, but but you want to do something different. You're not following the same blueprint as everybody else. And that's actually something that I really am passionate about myself, and that's something I'm really doing a lot with this podcast, and trying to not really follow the same blueprint that a lot of other people do. And that's why I got it playing in the dispensaries. And that's why I have it in kind of these different little spots and these different little sectors and everything. And I love that you said that, because it's something I've mentioned in the podcast about how, like, when you're trying to do something that might be a little bit more difficult, or, it's kind of like a little bit more challenging, you could, like, it's almost like walking in snow with like a thin layer of ice on it. You know what I mean? Like, and so you could walk in these, like this little path where there's a bunch of footsteps, like, and it could be easier to walk through, but not all of those footsteps might not fit your foot. So you're going to be tripping a little bit along the way. Or you could go down this path and then create your own footsteps. Not only do they fitting to your foot, but you're not going to trip. You just might have to put a little bit more pressure down, you know, and that's and that's kind of a philosophy that I have. And I love that you mentioned kind of doing basically the same thing.
Yeah. I love it, man.
Yeah, thank you. I like that. I try to find ways to, you know, work things out in my own brain, you know, little analogies and everything like that. And so,
spread between all of us, right? We're all trying to figure that out.
Exactly. And so, do you play any instruments?
I do actually. I play guitar, and it's funny because if I had my camera inside, you'd say I have this really great. I have an amazing collection of acoustic guitars. I can play electric too, but I just, for some reason, over the last year, I just got more into my acoustics, and I started kind of collect. It was an accident. I went into a guitar shop to buy my daughter a guitar, of course, and then I see something on the wall that I like, and I'm like, "What's that one?" And the guy's like, "Oh, that's an amazing guitar," and he pulls it off, gets the ladder and the lock, and okay, clearly it's expensive. And I just played it, and I was like, "Man, I'm in love with this thing." And I ended up buying this Taylor custom, and I didn't know it was a custom, but it was a custom from the custom shop. And I called them up, got the serial number, told them what it was, and they told me, they're like, "Wow, you have an amazing guitar." And once I had that guitar, it was so special, I started collecting some other classical, a dobro, resonator guitars for slide. So I just kind of mess around with different guitars, and I got them hanging in my my living room.
That's awesome. Yeah, I play guitar myself. I started playing guitar when I was 13, and I started with electric, and then I actually started playing acoustic like a couple years later. But so what inspired you to start playing guitar?
Well, I was in a band when I was younger, and I would say a pretty successful underground band. We did a lot of touring with like the Action Sports World Tour, the X Games, and when other opportunities had come across in my life that gave me some I was on the Action Sports World Tour, and they asked me to start, you know, interviewing some of the athletes with a stick mic at the top of the ramp because they thought it was kind of a good mix. I was on the tour with them, and that was a really great experience. And then it just kind of led me into more of a TV career at that point, where I started doing a lot of interviews where I was the guy interviewing the bands. And, but coming back full circle, I just once I started picking up a guitar again, my daughter had an interest in it. It came back to me so quickly. And I got on YouTube and started just going to some old songs I wanted to learn. And now the tools today are so much better than they used to be. Like I started playing these epic songs, and I was like, I don't have a great voice, but I was like playing some Dave Grohl, some Foo Fighters stuff, which was really cool because he's a drummer. So it's a different kind of rhythm pattern in his acoustic playing. I was like, that's challenging and fun. And I started learning all these great songs. I'm like, I just fell in love with it. And it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's one of my favorite things to do, just kind of unwind and chill.
Exactly. Well put, because like it's one of my favorite things to do too, because I have this one little, I have a little practice amp. It's like a little headphone amplifier, and it's made from Vox, and it's got all these different old models on it, and you can have all these different gains, and it has different effects on it and everything. And I'll just like plug that in and then just get lost. Like, yeah, it's awesome. And I have this Strat that's got it's awesome because it's only got one single bridge humbucker. It doesn't have like the 3 single coils like a regular Strat. Yeah, on a Strat. Wow. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's really cool, and it doesn't even have a switch. It's just got the single volume knob. Just classic. Yeah, and I love playing on it. My girl got me that for my birthday, and it was a great present, because I actually saw it in a pawn shop, and I was like, it was like a Wayne's World moment where I was like, she will be mine. Oh yes, she will be mine.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. What a cool, that sounds like an epic guitar.
It sounds really good. Yeah. And I like playing through Orange. That's one of my favorite amp models to play through. Yeah. Because I'm not really much of a pedal guy. I'm kind of more just like a classic guitar straight into the amplifier, you know, and just like, in kind of less is more, in my opinion, you know, almost like that Angus Young style, just SG to a Marshall stack.
Oh yeah, I love it, man.
That's awesome.
My daughter's been super into it. She's got a Les Paul, and she's got all these pedals, and she's been playing with delays, and you know, just cool. She just got so into it. It's just fun to watch that.
Yeah, you got to experiment and have fun with them, you know, because like when I was younger, I had processing pedals and like those like different like Digitech, like RP50, RE80, like or like an RP80, like.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Delicious things to eat. The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy, the chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Sorry about that, people. You know, sometimes we have technical difficulties when we're doing this new streaming stuff. So, hey, but let's go ahead and wrap this up. So let the people know a little bit more about the... What's that?
We're back from commercial break.
We're back from commercial. I know, I can just put a little info, I can put a little, like, you know, a little thing right there. It's like, let's all go to the lobby. You know, I could put a little something right there. So let's let the people know more about the Budtenders. Where can we get tickets? What do you have in store for us? And let's go ahead and let people know what's going on this year.
Awesome. Okay, great. So you guys can go to either one of two websites. Well, let's talk about the first one, budtenderawards.com. Budtenderawards.com is where if you have a favorite budtender or you are a budtender and you have some, patients and friends that you know really like you a lot, tell them to nominate you at the budtenderawards.com. At budtenderawards.com, you can also connect and get tickets, but you can also go to g4live.com, and that's the letter G, the number 4, and the word live.com. G4live.com is where you can get your tickets, and you can also, there's a link to be able to book the hotel to our room block, which gives you the discounted rate. I suggest buying a 2-day pass. It gets you access to everything. I think it's $249 for the 2-day pass. That gets you food for both days, breakfast, snack, lunch, and snack, open bars. It gets you access to the parties. It's just an all-encompassing pass, which I find you can get a single-day pass for $149, but that doesn't get you all the other stuff. So just get the 2-day pass and enjoy. But yeah, we have May 21st. We have that epic party at the pool, Mandalay Bay. We got Travis Barker performing. We do have somebody else who's going to be opening up. His name is Hunter Maloom, and that's our creative award winner for his tracks. But he's only doing 2 songs, and we're going to possibly have another special guest, which is also another really big name associated with Travis, potentially opening up for Travis as well. We're waiting to confirm all that, but that conversation is going really well, so I feel confident about that. Saturday is when the expo opens, and we're going to have speakers, brand education, brand certification programs. If you're a budtender and you want to elevate your career, this is an amazing thing to attend. It's free to you, and you show up, and let's say you go to the Select, for example. Our title sponsor this year is Curaleaf and Select. So if you go to the Select brand certification program, you're going to be able to learn everything about the brand that you want to know, and now you're brand certified, so you can put that on your resume. You're now Select certified. We're gonna have a bunch of brands doing the certification programs, and they're all free. So it just makes you can get a better paying job, you can, if you want, or you can be, submit yourself for becoming a manager because you're now qualified for that. Then Saturday night, we've got the party, which is the off-property party. We're doing it at a prop house facility right behind Raider Stadium across the freeway from Mandalay Bay. You could practically walk there. It's literally a 3 or 4 minute cab ride. And that party is going to be just unbelievable. I can't talk too much about what's going to happen there, but you can make your own assumptions. It's just going to be kind of a free-for-all and a really great party with everybody there in the cannabis community. And then Sunday, we go back to Expo, more brand certifications, and we're also going to be doing the Investor Summit. And the Investor Summit is if you have a brand and you're trying to raise capital, we give you an opportunity to sit in front of accredited investors who are looking to invest in cannabis brands. This is new to us. We haven't done this one before, but we're really excited about it because we've gotten this massive response. So we do have a submission fee for that, which ranges depending on whether you get a booth or not. But irrespective of whether or not you get a booth, you can submit. When you submit, part of the cost is we put together a deck for your company. Even if you already have a deck, we can help refine it. We have our legal team do due diligence on your company so we can make you suggestions on how to make your company a little bit more professionalized if it's not already. And if you've already got all these things, great, you're covered. But either way, you're putting decks in front of investors who are uniformed and they're looking at the same thing and they know what they're looking at, and they appreciate that now because they've seen companies that have been vetted and have been organized. So yeah, it's an amazing weekend with parties and education and expo, tons of freebies and all kinds of goodie bags and all kinds of really fun stuff. It's just going to be an epic event.
I'm really excited, and I'm going to be there, people. So definitely get your tickets, come on through, and then shout out to come see me over there at the freaking Budtender Awards. And I'm really excited, man. Thanks for everything that you're doing for the industry. Everybody over here in Oregon, we really appreciate it, man.
Listen, I really appreciate you, and thank you again so much for allowing me to be on this with you. I've had a blast talking with you, and I look forward to seeing you at the event. And anybody else who's listening, please come to the event and stop by and say hi. That's the most important thing.
Oh, I'm definitely going to. I'm going to be like, oh, Keith! I'm definitely going to try to come say what's up. Yeah, definitely, man. And thanks so much for coming through. I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for taking the time. And definitely, yeah, take care, man. I really appreciate you. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Hippie Speedball Podcast. It is Joe, your host with the most, Joe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!